Did the Vikings come to Cape Cod? Well, here at the corner of Inland Drive and Viking Drive, it certainly seems possible. Find out more next.
CapeCast.
Howdy folks, I'm Eric Williams and welcome to CapeCast, the official webcast of the Cape Cod Times. Did Vikings come to Cape Cod centuries before the Pilgrims? That's why we're here on the banks of the Bass River at the Indian Lands Conservation Area of Dennis, as we explore what may be hogwash or what may be signs of the Vikings. This Viking legend has been around Cape Cod for a long time. Back in the 1950s, there was a lot of hullabaloo over what were called mooring stones, rocks with holes potentially drilled in them by the Vikings to help them moor their boats. Perhaps the most famous of these mooring stones is behind me, Blue Rock. We asked a longtime Dennis historian his thoughts on Blue Rock and about this whole Viking legend.
Blue Rock is one of the rocks that reputedly was drilled by the Vikings, based on work done by Fred Pohl way back in the 50s. There are 3 stones in Bass River. One of them is Blue Rock, and there are 2 set in Fallon's Pond. All 3 of these rocks have holes drilled in them, about 1 inch in diameter and several inches deep. Mr. Pohl's theory was that these were mooring holes for Viking boats. He knew that the Vikings, through his studies, had used mooring holes in rocks in Scandinavia. I can refute the one based on Blue Rock because it was drilled by a baker around 1900 in which he could anchor an eel fyke. I don't know about the ones at Fallon's Pond. I know the holes are there because I've seen them. I'm sure that all of the fisheries that took place in the late 1800s in Fallon's Pond used these holes for anchoring fish nets and seines.
A check of the Cape Cod Times archives yields plenty of stories about the possibility of Vikings visiting our shores. Perhaps one of the most interesting of these stories comes from the year 2000, when Bob Littlefield of South Yarmouth said he found a silver ring in the Bass River using an underwater metal detector. He believes the ring may have some connection to a Viking visit. While we may never know the real story of how or when or if the Vikings ever came to Cape Cod, they've kind of left their mark in sort of a funny way in the neighborhoods around Bass River. Check out these street signs.
Well, the legend exists because it has some fancy to it. It would be nice and intriguing if we could prove there were Vikings here 1,000 years ago. But I just don't think they made it here.
CapeCast.